My name is Stephanie Binion, and I was born and raised in South Africa, but my parents are American missionaries. Stepping off the plane from South Africa coming to America, I remember looking around and thinking, I belong here, everybody looks like me, we're all the same race. But then as I got to be here a little bit longer, I realized we are not the same.
My name is Sarah Schaefer, and I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. And I guess I really began to notice a lot of differences between Caucasians, particularly when I very first arrived here at Taylor. Just because two people are both white doesn't always mean that we will always understand each other, because we are from different backgrounds many times and sometimes do have slightly different cultures.
My name is Ben Byler, and I'm a West Virginian. A lot of my identity comes from my Anabaptist heritage. So I'm Mennonite, but contrary to popular belief, that doesn't mean that I'm Amish.
In South Africa, people would always assume I was a white racist person. My black friends would assume that I didn't know anything about their culture, even though I could speak Zulu and some Xhosa. And then my white friends would assume that I was just like them when I felt like I wasn't. And now being in America, people assume that I'm just like them, but I don't feel like I'm white American either. I don't like coffee, I don't wear Indian scarves, and I like cricket better than baseball.
Some people think of the South, where I'm from, as being purely rural or even kind of rustic and old-fashioned, but I really don't think that's true, at least not entirely. I know personally I've never held a pitchfork in my life.
I don't feel like I've really been labeled or stereotyped because I'm white. Most of my identity comes from other things like how educated I am or my religious affiliation. And so I'm pacifist and I'm smart, but those things really don't define me.
Another thing, sometimes people have asked me in the past if I'm ashamed to be from Little Rock, just because of events that happened there historically within the civil rights movement. And that was really, that sort of took me by surprise at the time, because for one thing that happened so many years before I was born, and I guess I've never really thought to identify with those events at all. And I've recalled hearing my grandparents talk about them, but even then my grandparents worked against racism in those days, against segregation in schools.
It's hard for me to talk about being stereotyped because I'm white, because this isn't me. To my non-white friends, don't be wary of my efforts to get to know you. I'm afraid that you might think that I just want a token friend of a minority, and that's not true. And so both my fears about getting to know you and my fears about your assumptions, those are both stopping us from being good friends.
That's been a very interesting experience, because in some ways I think there's this tendency to view white people as just being content to live very secluded within their own race, and I don't believe that perception is true.
It's easy for you to assume who I am because there's nothing on the outside to let you know, but you'd have to get to know me to realize that I'm South African.